One of the reasons I'm really excited to chat with you today is the scale in which you're operating right now. Like, for folks that don't know, Loblaw operates on this massive national scale in Canada. You're generating over 62 billion in annual revenue. You're serving millions of Canadians through hundreds of different grocery and drug stores and retail brands. There's well-known brands like Loblaws, like Shoppers Drug Mart, President's Choice, Canadian Superstore. Like I learned this just recently, like when I was researching for the episode. When you think about like digital comms at scale, maybe chat about like two or three systems or processes that your team can't live without in this like crazy scale that you're operating in.
Yes. I mean, a lot of my team spends their day like in the platform of packaging things that we use. So that the bread and butter of our day to day. But outside of that, to manage the size, scope, and scale of the program and the ecosystem that we manage, we lean really heavily into a lot of our analytics systems. So for us, we lean a lot into the data that we gather and that we have access to. That pretty much drives almost everything that we do. We also use that analytic system to help understand the different real-time signals across the various different properties and platforms that we have to help drive a lot of the experiences that we're crafting and the channels that we operate. When I think about process, it's a little bit different. My team is definitely expansive. They cover all the different divisions of brands that we have within the enterprise envelope. So for a team of the team of my size, a lot of our process and tools are about how we stay connected and together and in sync. So we use a lot of tasks and ticketing through Jira. We've got a lot of documentation and Coda. So everything that we do, we share that knowledge back and forth so that we can continue to learn off each other. And we actually are a really big Slack organization. Real time updates. Us, we love a good Slack emoji. And for us, that makes sure that no matter where anyone on the team is, whether it's in the same office working on a different thing or in a different office working on the same thing, that we can actually stay in sync throughout the week. That's really important to us as a team, just with the way that we're structured and the way we operate.
Very cool. So is it like a big central org for comms that is kind of surfacing at like a dispatch layer almost for all of these different brands that, and then maybe you have like a couple of folks that are focused on just one of those brands? Walk us through like the structure there. Like you said before, we kind of chatted that like Loblaw's exec teams like heavily lean into the capabilities that Martech and RevTech can kind of unlock for your teams. Maybe chat about like how your teams are organized under the hood and get the most value out of these tools.
Yeah. Historically, the team before even my time was very like business focused. So if we've
Okay.
got a pharmacy business, a grocery business, an e-com business, they were structured very much in that vein. It almost was a little bit like a mini agency.
Hmm.
And we retain a little bit of that, right? There's a lot of nuances with the businesses and brands that we operate, and we need that level of expertise and partnership with those specific teams and their needs. But most recently, what I've done is I've also set up a secondary, more primary structure now, which is more aligned to the customer journey. So my team actually also looks over what we call pod, whether it be around onboarding and registration or shopping and post-purchase or the discover phase in the life cycle. And those pods and those activities within those structures are much less business focused and they're much more customer centric. I did that by design because there's a lot of goodness across our ecosystem. That's one of our really cool traits as an enterprise of our size and scale. And there isn't a reason why we shouldn't be able to leverage that and be able to share those learnings across the different brands that we have. So those pod structures really allow us to think about the customer and then layer in all the learnings and goodness that we know about our brands and then put forward strategies or touch points or new programs that allow us to be more relevant to the customer at a certain part of their shopping and discovery journey with us. So that's a little bit about how my team is structured today. And there's a lot of excitement around that to reduce and break down those silos that come with just being kind of one way.
Super cool. Are those pods like set in stone in a way where like, people come in, they just work on that pod, or do they have like a separate team and the pod is just like part of the work? Like who is in that pod? Like maybe like point in on
Is it
one and unpack that pod. Really curious.
it's a bit of both. So a
Okay.
really good example mm, and I've done it a bit intentionally where in one pod we focus and obsess over how the customer discovers and engages with our experiences. So before they even shop or add to cart, like what are they doing with us as an engaged member of our ecosystem or maybe an unengaged member of our ecosystem? That same pod is also the business lead for our loyalty program. So that was a little bit of like an intentional dual setup for me because where are we going to get the most energy from? And then where can we then use that as a jumping board for the rest of the businesses? And that's true for all the pods that we have. And they're staffed accordingly and they've been given their dedicated missions. But then what we've done is we've created flexibility within our resourcing within our team so that there's constant consideration for the different needs across the enterprise, which allows a lot more fluidity and connectedness as well.